Everybody get that? Claire?
The climate is like what it normally is in that area, and
Okay.
then the weather is what it is like right now.
Okay, good. Quinn? It's a temperature. Okay. Weather is, let's say, it's nice and cool right now this afternoon. It'll be warm and sunny. It'll be a little hotter. The weather changes constantly. It's what it is minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day. Climate is the bigger picture. Climate is what tells people that don't live in Minnesota that we have very cold winters. But we know that because forecasters, meteorologists, they take the weather, they write everything down, keep their calculations from day to day. And this climates are, it's weather over years and years and years. Because like last winter, we didn't get too cold, right? But the winter before that, we spent weeks in the negatives, correct? Remember, it was pretty cold 2 winters ago. So climate is the bigger picture. It is the weather over years. Weather is more so hour to hour, day to day, weeks to weeks. So I would like everyone to open their book to page 18. Zachary, can you sit up, please? Andrew B., let's pay attention. I would like you listening with your ears, and I would like your eyes on your book where we are reading. And I would like us to take turns reading, please. Who would like to start out? You are here. Claire? Yeah, you can go ahead.
Your brother is watching a weather program on television. You see images of a snowstorm in Kansas. Then, later, the image of a white storm in New York State fills the screen. Trees are bent over under the weight of ice, but outside your motel in Honolulu, the weather is 75 degrees and sunny. You are amazed at the variety of climates across the United States.
So it's December, and you're in Hawaii. There, it stays an average around the 70s, pretty much all year long. And they'll have seasons where it'll rain a lot. Overall, it's kind of humid, but the climate is, it's not like here it is in Minnesota, where we have warmer to hotter summers where it can go from the 60s, 70s, 80s, sometimes 90s, occasionally in the hundreds. But then our winters get really cold. In Hawaii, it stays almost even. It stays close to the 70s. Sometimes they can get down into the 60s, sometimes maybe the 50s. But that's usually at nighttime. They don't get too much colder than that. Can anyone tell me why that is? Why the weather would be different in Minnesota than it would be in Hawaii?
Well, because the air moves, the cold air from the water moves up toward to a different state.
Okay. Quinn?
Because we're more.
Okay. What is it, and we're going to study about it, what is it that Hawaii is closer to than Minnesota is? Trevor?
The middle of the earth.
Okay. What's that called? Can you sit up, please? What's that called, Isaac?
Equator.
The equator. Thank you. Okay, who would like to continue reading under weather and climate? Sophia?
In one way or another, we all pay attention to weather. When it is
Directly?
directly affects their jobs or safety. For example, a pilot checks the weather to
Avoid?
flying it into a dangerous storm.
Thank you.
Weather, you're welcome.
Who would like to read next? John?
Weather is the condition of the air at the certain time and windy.
Thank you.
should both know what crops to plant and when to plant them.
Okay. So there are a couple key points in here. A lot of people, especially people that work outside, count on knowing what the weather is like, correct? Especially people that work like maybe on the freeways, or even my husband. My husband works for the railroad, and he's always outside. He's rarely in his office, so he has to know if he should be wearing snow pants or a short sleeve shirt. But weather also is very important to farmers. And why is this? Claire?
So that the crops don't fail.
Okay. And crops. That's a huge thing. What are some big crops in Minnesota? Angie W?
Field corn,
Field corn. Nora?
soybeans,
Soybeans. Claire? Now, corn and soybeans, they grow well in Minnesota. Would they grow well, let's say, in a place like California
no,
or Colorado? Why? Quinn?
it's too hot.
It's too hot? It can get pretty cold in California, though.
And they don't rain as much.
It doesn't rain as much. That's correct. Having grown up in several different places, you take a place like California. California has actually a wide range of climate in just one single state. Because it's so long, if you go to the northern part of California, it can get quite cold. It's close to Oregon. It can be quite cool where the sequoias are, the mountains are. The middle of California, where I grew up, the San Joaquin Valley, it's very dry and it can get very hot. And then Southern California, which is close to Mexico, it can be very dry and very hot. So they actually have a really wide range of, I guess I should show you on the map. They have a wide range of crops that grow in California. They have, does anyone know what kind of crops grow in California? Take a guess, Claire? Grapes? Yes. What else? What else? Andrew W?
Wheat,
What? Wheat? Some places do grow wheat. What else? Nora?
apples,
Apples. They do grow some apples. See, this is what I was talking about. So Northern California, it's up here closer to Oregon. Oregon's cooler. See how long California is? It goes all the way down and connects to Arizona. What's Arizona like? What's the climate in Arizona?
hot,
Hot and dry. And it also connects to Nevada. And Nevada's pretty dry and hot. But if you come along here along the coast, what do you suppose the coast is like? Cool. It can be warm, but the weather changes a lot because you get the coastal breeze coming off the ocean that can cool it down a lot. So California has a lot of things that can grow. There's figs, almonds, peaches, nectarines, pistachios. And the list goes on because they have such a good array of different climate in just one state. Who would like to continue reading on the two major factors of weather? Any takers? Skylar?
The major factors of weather and climate are
Precipitation. Okay, so what is precipitation? Skylar?
the amount of rain or snow that falls.
Okay. And what is the temperature? Claire?
temperature is how hot or cold the air is.
Who would like to continue reading on climate varies? John?
The average temperature, the amount of
Thank you, John. So let's take a look at that map. What are some things that you notice in the different temperatures? Claire?
That Alaska is normally less than 0 degrees.
What else? That it goes almost in kind of a parallel line across the United States. Did anyone notice that? The southern states like Southern California, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, those are warmer. And then it gets into the 20s and 40s, which is pretty much all the middle states, and then it gets cooler in the upper states, kind of where we're at in North and South Dakota, Wisconsin. When it shows this, it's not talking about the temperature today or tomorrow. It's talking about the average over years, not just a few days or a few weeks. It's talking about years, that this is the average temperature.
It says average temperature in January.
And that's absolutely correct, Zachary. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, let's move on to water in the air. Who would like to continue reading? Can everyone please turn their page to 20? Trevor, would you like to read? No? Okay. Andrew? Major? Humidity? Moisture? So what is the moisture in our air called? Nora?
Humidity.
Humidity. And what is that? What's the moisture? What's it made up of?
Water.
Water. Thank you. Who would like to continue reading and how it does? Claire?
How does water get from the ground? The water in the air can become rain, and warm temperatures can become snow and ice and cold.
Thank you. Rain falls into oceans, lakes, and onto the ground. Rain falling on land flows into what?
There's
Streams. Skylar?
rivers and creeks.
What else? Nora?
Lakes,
Andrew W?
creeks,
Creeks? And what happens? What happens next? The end of that paragraph. Skylar? It's a cycle. The rain falls. It goes into the rivers and the creeks and the streams and the lakes and the ocean. It goes back up. Different parts of the United States receive different amounts of precipitation. The map below shows the average amount of precipitation in the different parts of the United States. So what are a couple things that you notice about the map down here on page 20? What parts of the United States gets the most amount of rain? Claire? Yes. Trevor? What are some of the driest parts of the United States? They get quite a bit of rain there. How about in the middle? Or towards Nevada and parts of California? Claire?
Like in the south.
Like in the south. Okay. So today we talked about climate and weather. The difference, weather is more minute to minute, day to day, week to week. Climate is the average. It's overall years and years and years, which is important to us and it's important to farmers so they know what crops to plant. We're running a little behind. If everyone can get ready for science. Okay, so classroom management, how I planned for anticipated behavior and how I implemented that plan during the lesson. A couple behaviors that I planned for were talking during the lesson, and fidgeting is huge. Students needing to fidget with something in their hands, pencils, pens, parts of a binder, paper, anything. So one of the first things that I told them was, the only thing that I want on your desk is your social studies book. Everything else needs to be either inside your desk or next to your desk on the floor. Setting those clear, direct directions is huge. Setting my expectations for them right away before the lesson even starts gets things off to a really good start. Any classroom management challenges that arose? I had a couple students that were talking. I had another couple that were trying to get some things out of their desk, weren't really paying attention. I had to handle those by kind of just saying their name softly, so as not to interrupt the rest of the class, but enough to get their attention back on the reading. And that worked fairly well. What I normally like to do is to walk around while we are reading, whether it's me or the students. I like to walk around, and so that I can either tap on their desk or give them a little tap on their shoulder to let them know that they need to refocus their attention. And that works really well because they see me walking around and they get right back to what we're studying. So that's my favorite thing to do. But when I have to videotape myself, it's kind of hard to do, so I have to kind of call their names out. Anything that I would change in my approach in future lessons based on what I learned? I've really taken these first few weeks of school to really get to know the students, get to know their backgrounds, their families, how they learn, things that they enjoy, what they need, how they learn, and that's huge. It's huge understanding the students and what they need and changing things up. We watched a video the first few minutes. It was a short video before at the very start of our lesson. I didn't record that. I started the recording after that, but I kind of tied in our previous lesson at that point. And let's see what else I can say. But future lessons, I think it's just it's a continuous learning experience, building on what I know, making sure they don't have anything to fidget with, but also what else I can do, pulling down a map, showing them visually, keeping their minds engaged, using vocabulary cards, anything to help them connect the information, because a lot of them, if they're not understanding, they're going to be zoned out. And then a lot of the smarter ones, if they feel like they know the information already, they're going to zone out. So it's reaching all the students at all their different levels. It's a difficult task. It's a fun task. I enjoy it. It's a challenge, but it's a great challenge. And that's the biggest challenge, and that's what I keep working towards. How can I challenge all the different levels of students at the same time, keep them all engaged, but all learning at their different levels? So, yes, I think it was a great lesson. I would have liked to have done more. We didn't have a lot of time, but I feel that it went very well.